Okay, everyone, I guess let's get started. Just let you know this is going to be a recorded session. So you will be able to access this presentation whenever you need to, just kind of as a reference guide. A lot of you have done this process before, so welcome back. Whoever's new, welcome, and we'll try to get you through this process as painless as possible. Um, my name is Alan Tang, and me and Jesus will be help assisting you through this process again. It shouldn't be any different from last year's process, so there's not really any new changes we're introducing. I think in the past few years we've had different processes that we did introduce, but I think we've kind of scaled it down. So like we've nailed everything down to where I think is everything kind of runs smoothly. So once again, one of my things is that if you need to ask a question, feel free to ask. I don't mind being interrupted. It's okay. If you have a question, probably somebody else is thinking the same thing. If you're too shy to speak up verbally during the meeting, which is totally understandable, I'm that way too. Um, just put something in the chat and we'll answer that question via the chat. All right. So let's get started. I'll share the presentation. You see me? You see? Oh, sorry, give me 1 second. Wait, do I share it? I'll share. Okay, sorry about that. Let's get started. Um, so this is ACA 1095C processing for the tax year 2025. My name's Alan, and Jesus is also assisting us in this process. He's going to talk to you about Looker and how to edit your Excel sheet. But we'll both contact points of contacts for you to help you through this process. Oops. Okay. It says my screen sharing is paused. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Okay, here we go. Next slide. So these are the topics that these are important dates that you have to be aware of. Today is, well, actually, we're going to extend out the day that you can file your intent to participate. I think the majority of you already have sent out your intent to participate. There were a couple stragglers left as of yesterday. I haven't checked the folder yet, again, to see if you have finished it. But if you intend to participate, please get that done. There are a couple districts I know that have not finished that yet, but if you plan to ride along with us, then please fill that out. January 15th, which is next week, your spreadsheets will be available. That's where the majority of the work will be done. We'll actually try to get this done earlier to you. And you can monitor the progress website to see if we sent it to you or not. This will be sent to you through the FTP site. I know in the past 6 months, IT has changed some passwords there. So if you don't have the latest password, someone in your department has the password. Um, if you if you can't find it, then you can submit a ServiceNow request. And if that's still not working, then we can work something else out to get you these sheets and communicate data through each other. January 30th that's when you should be trying to upload all your data into QCC. After you finish uploading your data, you'll send back your completed spreadsheet to us so we can keep it as a record. And you're going to run a pre-list to verify everything that you uploaded into QCC looks correct. From January 3rd to February 13th, so you have 2 weeks, you should be going through your data to make sure it looks correct, right? Not only through the pre-list, but also through QCC. Um, last year, to be honest, I felt like a lot of districts didn't take advantage of this step. We did have more errors than uh, we had in previous years. So please, this year there's an emphasis on please look at your data because that's what's going to go out to your employees, and that's going to go out on the ACA documents that are going to go out, and it's going to go into ESS. So if the cleaner it is, the less problems we're going to have, and it'd be great for both sides. On February 16th, there's going to be the print authorization form. So that's basically when you tell us you're ready to print. These are how many forms you're expecting to receive, and we're going to verify that's correct. And then that'll give us permission to move forward and print. The 20th, that's when the printing will begin. And the 27th is when you guys will come pick up the forms to distribute to your employees. Whatever arrangements you guys have set up with the print shop or your DBS advisor, just continue that arrangement and it should run pretty smoothly. So you have to give the March 2nd date is highlighted in red. By law, you need to distribute these documents to your employees by March 2nd. And if not, yeah, then you could face some form of penalty. So the majority of the work there is for you guys is pretty much done. But from March 2nd to March 21st, Jesus and I will be working on trying to submit whatever you put in QCC to the IRS. And there still will be back and forth communication for us because we do TIN checks, which is, if you're not familiar with the TIN check, it's just verifying someone's name, social security, uh, is matching with what's in the IRS database. So uh, we really need your assistance to make sure that data is clean. Because if it doesn't match through the TIN check, we can't submit to the IRS. And since we're just helping you process this information, if we can't get a match, then the straggler employees who can't match with the IRS, you guys are responsible to submit those people to the IRS and figure out how to make that happen. But we can help you try to do the check a few times. You give us different names or different like socials that might be correct. If the social might be incorrect, right? Hopefully not. Then we can continue to submit to the TIN. But if there's a point where you think that there's nothing else you can do, it is not going to be on us to submit that information to the IRS. It's going to be on you guys to submit that to the IRS. All right, next slide. So reporting process and district responsibilities. Once again, it's up to the district to complete their employee 1095-C coverage information. We are not IRS experts. What this means is that um, if you come to ask us if this employee should be code 2A or 1E, like I'm familiar with those codes, but I don't know what they do. So we cannot kind of tell you like 2A is the correct code for this employee or 1E is that correct for that employee. You need to ask your accountant or DBAS to guide you through that situation. So the next bullet point is district access to the ACA management is by security access form only. If you had access in the prior years, you will have access to 2025. So yeah, so if you're an existing person who's worked on this in prior years, then yes, you should have access to 2025 and to update the data that way. If you are new, we are going to capture, if hopefully your authorized signer puts you down as the one working on it on the security form, then we will go ahead and try to add everyone via the participation form. There are times that sometimes we might miss somebody. Just submit a ServiceNow ticket, and we will get that fixed if you need access, but you need your authorized signer to approve that as well in the ServiceNow ticket. Um, and finally, like I said, the ACA data that you upload in QCC will be the final data used to print forms and submit to IRS. So we're just going to use the data that you give us, um, and we're just, like I said, we're just the conduit to help you process this stuff. We're not um, we're not responsible for any of the data that you put in there. Okay. Reporting process and district actions. So next week, you can retrieve your district-specific data import spreadsheet. That's just your worksheet. It's just a fancy way to say it's your worksheet. So that's where you're gonna do all your work, where you upload all your employees. Complete this by the end of the month. And if there's any issues with the spreadsheet, creating the codes for the final like cut and paste, or you're having issues uploading to QCC, just put a ticket through ServiceNow and ask for assistance for me and Jesus, and we'll try to figure out what the issue is. Um, After the data is verified, so basically after you run your pre-list and you uploaded everything and run your pre-list, make any corrections through the ACA management module, and I'll show you where you can do that for individual employees. You don't have to use the upload tool to keep on fixing. You can just actually individually go to an employee and fix that. And once you think everything is pristine, then you submit the ACA form, the print totals to authorize us to print, and that'll be stored in Laserfish, and we'll do our verification with you and let you know that everything looks good to move forward. Okay. If you're not familiar how to use the FTP, this is the FileZilla how-to. Um, if, like I said, if you're having problems with using the FTP site, because I know that some people do have issues with it, then we can work something else out. But try to use the FileZilla first. There's an updated password just got sent out this year. I think they changed their security on this, so your last year's password might not work. You just got to double check. So somebody in your IT department or your authorized signer probably has this password, and you can just try to log in through that way. All right. So now we're going to go over the worksheet that you're going to be working for. Um, in here, the worksheet will basically go an overview of how the worksheet works, and I put in also a link of acceptable codes that can be used to declare someone's ACA status. We used to have the codes inside this sheet, but then it keeps on getting updated. So I just put a link where you can just click it goes to a web address and it automatically gets updated, right? So you can see what the available options are for each employee. So this is just an instruction overview on how the worksheet works. All right. The second tab is the employee data tab. Uh, so right here, this is where the employee identification number is. So if you participated with us last year, we're going to use the same ID number as last year that you put in. It has to be consistent because I know there's confusion sometimes. People put their federal or they put some other ID in, but we're using the same ID as last year, and you can verify that in this sheet. Um, so yeah, that's basically we're going to use this to upload into the IRS. And then all the information you put will be in this 1094C. Basically, the general information will be from the from last year. So if you have any other changes that you need to make, just let us know. Okay. So we used to have this employee query tab that was in the sheet. Last year, it switched to Looker. This year, it seemed like Looker really worked well. Um, so we're going to continue using Looker to get your employee data. Like I said, if you gave us your sheet back from last year, you can leverage off that and add whoever employees are missing. But if you need to start from scratch, this is going to be essential for you. So what this query does is kind of look at the last paycheck, and we're going to pull the employees out. And this pretty much is your list that you can base off of who you need to submit for for 1095, and I'm gonna hand it over to Jesus, and he's our resident expert on Looker Studio. So go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Um, Hi, everyone. So, just covering the Looker Studio component. Uh, Once you've registered and we've logged your email, we'll share access. Sorry, once. Okay. And sorry, I'm just checking here. Okay. So once we've shared Looker Studio access to you, you'll be able to see your relevant data for your employees. So for example, here I blocked out like the name and first name, last name, but you can see all the data that you'll need here. So, but access is primarily controlled by us being able to grant you access via your email. So, if your email wasn't logged correctly or somebody's email wasn't added to the registration form, you won't have access. So if that's an issue that you have, you can just let us know, and we can just add you. But please, do let us know that because otherwise, if we share the link to you and you click on it, you won't be able to access it just because it has confidential data and addresses. So as long as you've registered and you've let us know that your emails was shared to us, you should be able to access your data. Alan, if we can go to the next slide, please. Here we'll just go over, you'll probably want to manipulate the data and download it instead of just viewing it here. So the next component is to just export it. And we've kind of illustrated how you can do that here. And we'll share this deck, but once you have access to the data and you enter, you right click on any cell or any row value within this report, and you'll be able to export it. So for example, this data that I'm looking at, I simply hit right click and then it gives you the ability to click on that little export data text. And then once you click on it, you'll be prompted with a few options. And so for example, in this case, I want to download that data that I had right clicked on. It gives me the option to export it as a CSV or into an Excel file or also as a Google Sheet. And then just to recap, once you've been granted access, the link is it's hyperlinked into the Looker Studio text. So you will be able to just click on that once we share this deck, and it's in all three prior slides as well. So yeah, it's two simple steps to be able to export the data. And if for some reason you do have access to the report and you still don't see the data, please let us know because it may be, I don't know, maybe we missed the adding a district, but generally I think we've already added all the districts and you should only be able to see your district. So if for some reason you're not able to see any data, but you do have access to it, please let us know. And that might be either some sort of access issue or maybe there is data missing, but we can add that in if that's the case. So just please make sure that we do, if you intend to pull this data, that you do submit your email to us so that we can add you and that's how we control access to the different district level data. And yeah, that's it for Looker Studio data.
Thanks, Jesus. Jesus will be joining us again to talk about how to edit the document, but let's move forward. Okay. So yeah, this is the next tab is going to be the historic employee 1095C tab. Like I said, if you returned your sheet to us last year, then I will populate this tab. Me and Jesus will populate this tab. If you did not submit it back to us, then it's going to say empty. All right. And then whatever, how, whatever, is in Liquor Studio is probably going to be your, your, uh, your basis. Sorry about that. Okay. This tab is locked and it's only for reference purpose only. It is the district's responsibility to keep the historical data for ACA. Right. Sorry, I'm sharing this through Teams. So I'm getting random Teams. That's all. We'll remove that. Um, if you have not processed ACA with TDS in prior years, then yeah, you're starting from a blank sheet. So you're going to be using Looker Studio to do your employee stuff. Okay. The 1095C upload tab, the data used in this employee data tab is the exact data that will be imported into the ACA management module. Um, Only data in this tab will be used from 1095C processing in 2025, and districts will now upload this data through the ACA management module via the upload tool. Okay. So basically, you'll whatever you data you put into this worksheet, this is where you're going to cut and paste the information into QCC and use the upload tool. And we'll go over the upload tool later on in this presentation as well. Okay. Oops. Okay. Sorry. All right. So yeah. So when you're filling this out, the first thing for the upload, you'll be putting the social security number in for the employee, um, or um, or it can be the employee ID, which is fine. Um, the address information will be populated through the MA screen. Okay. This is basically the month by month coverage you're going to be putting in. This is where all that when does the month plan start? You know, the 1As and the 2Cs. Like I said, I'm not really sure what those codes do. I'm sure you guys do. So, but that's where you put this information in. Same, it goes down to this other box 15. So this is the section 15 portion that will be filled out that will show up on the 1095C. Yeah, this is section 16. Okay. And then all that data that you put in here will be shown up on this form right here, 1095C. Okay. So like I said, districts are responsible for uploading the ACA data to QCC through the ACA data import tool. Uh, it's located in ACA management, miscellaneous options and reports, and ACA data import tool. Access to this upload tool. So if you have access to ACA module, you have access to this upload tool. And the data generated from the QSS format tab can be used to import codes into the data import tool. So let me open up QCC real quick, and I'll show you where you can get this. Here's QCC. Okay, here's QCC. Okay, so you'll find the ACA management tool under Human Resources and Payroll, right? Okay, so we'll have this information already filled out for you. Don't worry about that. You won't get this error unless you're new. Okay. So under miscellaneous, oh, also make sure that you're in the correct year up here. Uh, so see this calendar here? I'm in copy right now, so we don't have 2025. This is our test environment, but production has 2025 update. So make sure you're in 2025 update because if you're automatically defaulted, I think it's in a view mode, and you do your upload, then nothing is going to happen. You're gonna be like, how come nothing happened? But because you can't do anything in view mode, you have to put it on 2025 update. All right. So here is the ACA data import tool. We would open this. So if you this the upload tool is similar to like if you've done any other like Payline uploads or absence tracking uploads, it's all very similar. Like the tools are set up the same. So as you can see, it's basically the same thing here. Um, I think by default it'll start at 1 month, so make sure you click on 12 months, right? Leave numeric value and blanks are significant, right? So if you have it on 1 month, the grid looks really short, right? Because only 1 month. But you put 12, you'll see the grid expands out, right? Okay. And then, okay, so I have an example here. So basically, this is what your sheet is going to look like. You're going to have this name here, and then all the codes. So what I would do is I would just copy this. Okay. And then, sorry, I used one district as my example because they used the employee IDs. Okay. And then with import data, right? And then there's two checkboxes here, right? So if you have a header, then and you leave that one checked, it's going to delete the first line, right? If you have append data means this you're going to keep on adding, but usually, you're not going to want to append that. And I don't have a header, so I'm not going to click this on, right? So when I copied already, I pasted in, right? But look, there's too many data errors, they'll give me if something's not right, by format wise, meaning there's too many boxes, then it's going to give you an error. Okay, so I say, okay, so what's wrong? Okay, so then, oh, I'm not supposed to have these names in here. So that's one of the things you have to do. You go into your sheet, copy and paste, remove the names. Okay, so I'm going to clear this and say, yeah, that's not good. Then go back here, and I have a copy here of one that doesn't have the name. So I remove the names on this one. Just copy this. And then I want to import data again. And boom. Okay, so now I didn't get an error, right? And then you want to return this. And then you want to verify data. So look, I put an employee here that ID that has that's not on file. It says employee not on file. Okay. So the way you do is you probably go back and remove this employee and everything looks good. Then it'll say, then these will activate and you can just save it and then it'll upload all the people in here. So I want to talk about these verified messages, the status messages. So when it says verified, it's not doing any checks to see if like these codes are good or not. In a sense, it's just saying that you have two characters in this field. Okay. So I mean I could have put like ZD in here and it would have said verified, but that doesn't, that's not a valid code, right? So it's just saying that the verified means that the format is correct, right? So if the code is incorrect, it's still incorrect. So you need to verify all these codes still. This is very simplified error checking. So it's kind of misleading that it's saying everything is good, it's verified. It's just that it's verified that we can upload into it, but it's not checking if these codes are actually valid. All right. Just want to make sure that's clear. After that's done, you save it, it'll upload. Okay. And then we have a couple other things you can look at here. So let me close this. Okay. So if you need to individually look up an employee, you would just look them up just like employee management here by the social name. And you can go into this employee report detail and change individual codes if you want. Here is where the pre-list is. Okay, so remember how I said that you should run a pre-list and verify all your data? Just go in here, run a pre-list, right? Basically, just I don't think really think you have to do much. You just put a report title in here and just put everything in, just leave it blank and just run it. Okay. And you go to your print manager, it's going to show all your employees' data in there and um, verify everything looks correct because that's what's going to go out on your forms, right? There's a portion in the presentation that talks about this on how to do this. I just want to emphasize this as a point of emphasis this year because uh, I think this step was actually skipped by a lot of districts last year because we had to do a lot of modifications or and reprinting because the data didn't look correct after the fact. So in order to prevent that from happening this year, like we're kind of like I said, we're not really we're not tax experts, right? Then we're not responsible to go in to make sure everything is looking correctly. I mean, that's on you guys. We're just here to help you process this information into the system. So if the data is incorrect and you guys come back and say, hey, well, like the data is incorrect, it's not formatted, it's not looking correct because this is off, it's still on you guys that you had to double check all this stuff. And we'll help you fix everything, but the responsibility still lies on the districts. I just want to make that clear. Okay. So that's basically how you do an upload. Here's my, let's go back to the presentation. Okay. So status check. This is what we use to communicate with the districts back and forth. So instead of you asking us like, hey, did you see that we uploaded, or did you guys submit to the IRS yet, or how's the tin checks going, right? You can just go into qcc.scoe.org, and we have a status check symbol in the fiscal year end, right? And as things go along, we tell you yes or no, or I guess maybe is yellow. That we're still working on it. Pending is yellow, and we're still working on it, right? So like you'll see that a lot with the tin stuff because um maybe like 75% of you guys will you give us the data, we run the tin check, it'll go clean, right? But there's is and there's always that 25%, like a quarter of you guys, which is a big number, that like the tin check won't match up with what's in the IRS databases, which is not like anybody's fault. It's just like, it is what it is. It's just part of this process, right? So we'll be going back and forth until we get it cleaned up. And this is the part where I was saying like if the tin checks eventually like you give us like the names that don't match and stuff like that, and this and social security, and we keep on doing a tin checks that failed, and he's like, I have no other options. It's not on TDSD to fill in the gap there. It's going to be on the districts to somehow submit those employees. There's nothing really we can do. We're just trying to help you process through, right? Um, and it's important to try to get um, all these people in, do the tin checks in the beginning, because if you have to add people later, there's going to be an extra cost. Because right now the cost we're putting the cost right now to upload. But if you have to append after we do the upload, then that cost is going to be on the district per employee. Okay. If you have trouble accessing this site, it'll ask you to ask for permission. Just ask for permission, and somebody will approve you right away. Um, and also the documentation for and this webinar, and if you want to play in the sandbox, all that setup information is also in this on qcc.scoe.org. Okay, so yeah, here it is. You go into calendar year end fun. You'll see end of year fun, and you click on status update, and then you'll see like you're gonna see stuff like this, like what district is validation occurring, did are you ready to pick up your forms, IRS validation, et cetera, right? So you can track your progress easily. Okay. Data from the 1090 visa will be populating the QS. I've already gone over this point, but this is actually when Jesus is going to present his second part. Sometimes you're going to get a ref error. So when you fill out this 2023 or 2025 employee 1095C upload tab, the data is going to get transformed into the QSS upload tab, and that's the information. And the QSS upload tab is what you cut and paste into QCC, right? But sometimes when you go over there, your code is not being reflected properly. It's going to say pound ref, and in order to avoid that, I'm going to hand it over to Jesus again, and he's going to walk you through that.
Okay, so I'll share my screen shortly. Okay, so this is the format that you'll, sorry, let me hide this kind of in my way. So you'll have this format for 2025 data for your employees, but as part of the upload process into QCC, you'll have to reformat it so that it's ingestible and like the columns match to where they're supposed to. So I'll go through kind of the process of how the data is. So for example, here in our tab 2025 employee 1095C upload, this will be I'd call it the pre-processed data where you just have the social security number or EIN, the last name, first name, and then when the plan starts, as well as the respective codes. And so in this example, this is a format that it it's in prior to being reformatted so that when you upload it into QCC, that process that Alan already covered, so that once you upload it, it matches because it's supposed to be in a certain structure. So what this sheet does, or this template, is it just helps you import or have all your employees in this format. And once they're here, it'll simply be reformatted in this other tab. So you have another tab here underneath this QCC upload tab. And if you see, like, we look at cell A2, cell A2 is referencing our other tab that I just reviewed, the 2025 employee 1095C upload. And what's happening here, it's just simply pulling in the data from this other tab, but it's kind of structuring it in a way that it'll be uploadable into QCC. And it's pretty straightforward, but there are some kind of edge cases that you may run into in a case where you want to delete an employee or add more. So I just want to kind of call those potential cases out so that it makes it smoother for you when you're going through this process. And so I'll go over through kind of one of the examples we see, and I might add error handling into the formula so that you don't encounter it, but it's still an error that you may encounter, so I'll just cover it. And we'll go over this first example. So here in our base data, I'll call it, we have this employee, last name Jackson, and we put uh, a made up social number. And if let's say they're no longer with a team and I want to delete them, well, that deletes them, but uh, then the data that's being formatted in this other tab, because I just deleted the row, it'll cause this issue. It won't be referencing that data that just got deleted. So there's two ways to handle this. I'm gonna undo it. So Jackson's back and the error is gone. So when you want to just delete somebody, you can just highlight them all and hit delete or clear contents. So you can right click and you clear contents. And so they're just gone. But if you go over here, it just zeroes out. The formula is still referencing that cell and you don't get an error. So that's one way of avoiding like just those error issues, the error that shows when you just delete it. So if I go in and then actually delete the cell, it's throwing in this ref issue now. Um, so let me undo it again. Another case that you may run into, it's let's say that you have more employees in the year prior. And so if we look at this last row here, 35, in our base data again, when it gets structured in our upload format that you would be uploading into QCC, we can see that the last number here is 3511, which is the social security number. And I'm able to see, okay, well, this is the last employee. It looks like it is pulling all the data relevant into from this person into this formatted structure. But let's say, I don't know, there's additional, I'm just going to drag it down as an example. There are uh, another person that joined. I'm just going to put a random last name so we can illustrate it. And so these are all new employees. And I'll just change the social security number. You want to make sure that if that's the case, you also drag down the formula here, and I'll just drag it down for the first few rows. I think we added three, so it should be three new additional numbers. I think I didn't change it. I think I didn't change this one. Let me see. So that should show the last three people that I just added. So if it's just another case you may run into where you're like, oh, well, there's no data being pulled, but you just simply just need to highlight all the cells and just drag them down, and it'll bring down the formula to pull in additional data that's been uploaded or inputted into this new um, running sheet. Another thing you can do that I do to like jump and drag it easily, it's I hold Shift Control, and it allows you to be right clicking, and at the same time you can right click, and then you keep going until you find the last value. So in this case, I think it's AW. Yeah, I can check. Or you can just hold Shift and right click, and then while you're still holding Shift, you go down, 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 and let's say you're adding 50 more people as an example. Then you just hold Control and then D, and then it'll automatically bring the formula down for all the cells. So then that way, if we keep adding more people, let's add more, it'll keep populating down and down. So it's just a way to help you structure the data. You may have your own method of doing it. You can probably improve on the formulas, but what we want to do is try to make it easier for you to process and upload your data into QCC. And if there's any suggestions you have on something that maybe a trick you did to make this easier, please let us know and we can share that to everyone else as well. But in prior years, this is the structure that people have used, and I think it's worked out well for them. And if there's any issues, I'm happy to set some time to kind of review if there's anything specific that's not working, or like if something doesn't make sense or I didn't explain it well. Feel free to email me or set some time and we can review kind of like your independent case or whatever may be happening. But I think that in prior years it hasn't been too much of an issue, so we hope this can help. And if not, again, please let us know and we're happy to help. Yeah, aside from that, I can't think of any other edge cases that people have ran into. But if there's anything else, please let us know. And if you have any questions right now, also please let us know. And that's it from the processing and formatting the data for the QCC upload.
Thanks, Jesus. All right. So is there any questions so far? I know we've gone over a lot. Um, Feel free to ask any questions if you want. Okay, keep on going. Okay. All right. So like I said, the next thing we go over is your employer data. Uh, this we're copying over from last year's fiscal, whatever you put in for the 2024 reporting cycle, putting it for 2025. If this doesn't match up with what you are liking, just let us know and we can discuss on what could be changed. But I think everything filed correctly last year. So if you're with us, then it should be fine. Um, and we want to keep everything consistent. So, but if there is an issue, just let us know. We can discuss what needs to be changed. Okay. We did this. This is just the how-to. I went over this in the live of how to do the ACA import tool. So if you need a reference guide, this is the part of the deck you'll look at. Okay. And then Jesus, this is what just Jesus just went over. When you're importing everything, you're going to take the data from QCC upload tab, make sure there's no found refs, and copy it into the upload tool. So, and make sure there's no errors when you upload. And then, like I said, the verify is just correct, checking if the format is correct, not if the data is correct. So once it says no errors, and you press the green arrow, it'll save to the database. All right, so we've gone over all this information already. Okay. QCC security access request form. Like I said, if you're having issues with the ACA process accessing it, then you will fill out the security form and then you'll have access to ACA. If you've done this process with us last year, then you should already have access. But if you're having issues, this is the form that you will fill out and then submit it to ServiceNow. All right, and I've gone over how to update this. It's just reference. I kind of like freestyle this, so um, this is all reference for you to look at. That this is how to update. And then, so if you go into look up an individual employee, remember I was talking about you individually look up an employee. Everything you upload will be here in the coverages. So if you need to make a minor change into an employee, you would go into the reportable detail and employee maintenance. I mean, ACA module, look up the employee, and you can change the code individually here. Also, do not modify the employee data in these fields. They are an override. Um, we're gonna when we submit to the IRS, we're gonna take the data from the MA module. Um, But if you put something in here on the top, it will override that data, the MA module. If you need to make an update to an employee, you want to make the update long term, you update the MA module. That's what we're going to download from. Okay. This is just how to run the pre-list. Like I said, the pre-list is very important. Make sure that you review that during that 2 week span to make sure that is what is going to go out to the employees. That's what you want the employees to see. Um, like I said, I think this step has been overlooked by a few districts. So please make ensure that you run this process. It's not going to show up on the status report for you guys, but it's going to make you guys feel more comfortable that all the work that you have put in uh, was correct. Okay, this is what the report will look like. Um, when you run the ACA pre-list, it'll have the employee. It'll tell you what line 14, 15, 16 will be, and I'll have all the codes out there. All right, and if everything looks good at that point, you run the pre-list, then you will fill out this print authorization form from your authorized signer. You will tell us how many employee forms you are expecting to receive and expect to be printed. We will take that number and verify it with the database. And then if everything looks good, you will get a green yes on the status sheet. And you can expect to get forms at the end of February. All right. So that's pretty much the whole process. There's a couple homework assignments you guys can have for today. Um, Verify you have access to qcc.scoe.org. Okay. Verify that you can access the FTP site. If you can't get this password working, you notice I put like Google Drive. We can try to figure out a Google Drive scenario for you. It's easier, but it's just, we'd have to set it up for everybody differently. Okay. So, but see if you can get the FTP site working, then we can communicate that way. If not, then we can try to work out a Google Drive scenario. Verify you have access to the ACA module in QCC. If not, then fill out that security form. If you have not registered and got your authorized signer to register and say that you're participating, uh, please register through Laserfish. Okay. And then last thing is, once again, like we're not accountant specialists and we don't know all the new rules. So make sure you review all the IRS information about ACA 2025. Like we only come here to update you on how to do the upload stuff. But if there's new rules, me and Jesus, we have not sat through a seminar on what the new rules for ACA are. Sorry. Okay, there's a question. Okay, we have a question about the FTP site, and they were able to access last year. So I know in the beginning of this year, um, we run a process that an agency has to access their FTP site, and some things have changed. Our IT department must have probably sent out, or they did send out
maybe new passwords or something or new settings, and there's a step-by-step email on how to do that. So that should have went out to somebody in your IT department or somebody in your authorized signer should have that email. So if you can't access that, then you need to contact them to figure that out. If it becomes too much of a hassle, like I said, to do that, then you can contact me and Jesus, not through ServiceNow. Probably just shoot us an email, and we can try to figure out a Google Drive scenario for you. Okay. Google Drive to us like is pretty secure. I mean, it is very secure, probably more secure than might be more secure than FTP. But if we use a Google Drive, what we're going to do is we're just going to leave that information on the drive for a few months, and then we're gonna remove access. Um, Whoever has access to it, we're going to remove that access again for that district, so nobody can access it, and you're going to remove the files off that, so no one can get those files in the future. Okay. Any other? The good question though. Thanks for asking. Well, if no one has that information, then for your FTPs, I do not have that information for sure, and that's a different portion of our IT department. So you would have to submit a ticket to ServiceNow and tell them you're having problems accessing your FTP site. So yeah, that's a security. They hardened our system, so they were trying to be more secure. And if you're having problems accessing the FTP site, then yeah, you're gonna have to contact um, our networking team through ServiceNow. Okay. Sorry about that. I know it's a little bit of a hassle, um, but they're just trying to make all your information secure. Any more questions? Okay, so here's just a basic checklist that you'll go throughout this whole process. Um, like you already see all the status stuff that we've set up, but this is just another thing to ensure that you've gotten covered everything through this process. Definitely. So yeah, the slides will be available on the qcc.scoe.org. Okay, so if you go to the fiscal year end ACA, this video will be uploaded, and the slides will be uploaded, so you can always reference them. Um, but yeah, that's a good question. So that's why the homework assignment is important to make sure that you access qcc.scoe.org. All right, any more questions? Okay. So throughout this process, if you have any questions, you can always ask Jesus and us through ServiceNow or email. Preferably, if it's like a more technical question, then if it's going to be a quick question, yeah, just email us. That's fine. We're going to be going back and forth, right? But if you have a bigger issue, then yeah, submit it through ServiceNow so there's a record of it. Um, but if not, then thanks for attending. I'm sure it'll go smoothly. I feel like it's getting better and better every year, and we'll be definitely in contact with everybody to make this. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for attending, and talk to you guys soon.